What's that?
Your face looked like you came for more.
Oh, some of this stuff makes me.
So, did you listen into the planning commission last week? So, did you hear their discussion afterward about a rec center and a possible equestrian area over there in that green space? I would just like, and then how they regretted passing. They after they passed their approval, then they sat there and said, "We probably shouldn't have done that. I regret doing that. It was a mess. Why are we doing this?" It's like, why are you approving it if you don't
They
fully approve it?
sometimes they say too much on the hot mic.
Which I think we're now hot.
Well, I mean, not even us. I'm saying. That's not what I was looking for.
Where did my pen go? There it is. Where did you get that? Did you print it off yourself or did you request them to?
I can't remember if I printed it or if Diane did. I just asked her because it's good to have.
It is. I'd like to have that.
I mean, it's not. They're not the greatest maps, but they give you an idea. It's like I was trying to see what else wasn't incorporated. You got all of this. You got.
And I was talking to Sean at the county. So I had asked about this area. And he said that, so this part all belongs to Nelson, but
That's
these
what
two, they accidentally left off. That belongs to a different family, and they accidentally left it off. They meant to annex it, but it was kind of an oopsie. But they just didn't want to pay for a new public hearing, redoing the paperwork now, and they'll just incorporate it later.
Gotcha. I was actually going to ask that. That was one of my questions.
But I'd still like to have it on that question on record.
Right. It's true.
Is that Sean in the front? Okay.
Yeah,
We still got a couple minutes.
he doesn't care.
You want to just do it in here? Why don't you take it at back and see?
Because it's
Awesome place when
what's in it. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I got that from outside because I wanted a physical copy. I'm willing to share it.
Of course.
Hi. Rachel Beal. I'm Rachel. So I'm not from any family here. I'm an Air Force brat, but I adopted Flame City as my home. I finally have one.
They must have won business licenses.
Nice.
right in, right at the. When he shows up, it's Jay and Barbara are my parents. Let's see. What's the difference between postponing and all? See,
Recording in progress.
Oh,
He did tell us that on Monday, that's right.
that's
Jan's mom. That's too bad. It's not good.
All right, it is 6:30. We are going to call this city council meeting to order tonight, the 20th of November. Councilwoman Bill will lead us in the pledge, and I'll give us a word of prayer.
please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, as we come to city council tonight, we're grateful for the place that we live and the comforts we enjoy here and the safety that we have in our city. Watch over and protect those that keep us safe and are there when we need them to be. And please watch over and protect the military service members, that they'll be able to take it home to their families and stay safe. And we're grateful for all that we have in this town that we have. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, first item is approval of the minutes.
I saw one spelling error just at the bottom under Mayor Beasley's marks. It says Mayor Beasley said he wanted to thank Colette, just probably stated.
Okay, anybody else? How about a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from November 6, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, report from the planning committee. Oh, no, public comment. So public comment is for anything not on the agenda. So anybody here who wish to address the council for anything not on the agenda, come on up. Anybody on Zoom? All right.
Oh, wait.
Oh. No, this is just the public comment. The public hearing will be in just a minute. All right. I can't hear you back there. Oh, you can't? I can't. Is the speaker working?
It sounds like it. I can
Yeah,
hear.
I can hear it a little bit.
Yeah, I can hear it from.
All right. So now we'll go with planning commission report. Mr. Abelman.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Splendid.
Looks like it's gonna be a fun night.
Pretty great, right?
So we had a pretty busy meeting last week. We had the public hearing for the residential overlay for the Weiniger ground. Had a discussion motion on that. We made a motion to recommend approval for the Weiniger overlay based on a few stipulations that we would hope would added into that, which was a maximum 151 lots, a minimum frontage of 90 feet, site development standards found in 10-5A-4, excluding, of course, the 90 foot of frontage. The 17.19 acres would be turned over to the city before completion of phase 1, rather than portions of it throughout the development. We recommend all of it be turned over to the city in phase 1. Only one row of houses are on the south end of parcel 19-034-0002, which is the Marriott or Western Lands portion of the overlay request. They're not including that entire parcel in that overlay request. They're just wanting one row of houses on the south side of that. I don't know if you guys have the plat map that they did. And rest of parcel 19-034-00002 is not included in the overlay. So those were the stipulations that we put in our motion to recommend approval on that. I don't know
Did
if you
we
guys-
ever get the official recommendation from the planning commission? That wasn't in our packet.
Yeah, I did not see it.
What was,
No, you haven't got it, because I don't have it.
what was the question?
If we ever got the official recommendation from the planning commission, it wasn't in our packet. Diane said that we never got it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I don't have it. All we have is the motion, which is all that's on there anyway, so. You should have a copy of the motion.
We also had a public hearing for a conditional use permit for Kelly's Cove, which that wasn't a motion, it was just to set a public hearing for December 11th. We had a motion to set a public hearing for a senior overlay for Kelly's Cove, also on December 11th. There was a discussion motion for the site plan for the O'Reillys on Center Street, which was approved. Discussion motion for the existing site plan for Everbloom Studio and Company, which is at the old Royleys the new portion of where the Royleys building, where she was wanting to put in kind of an event center where she could do boutiques, things like that. So we did approve that. There was a discussion motion for the 2-lot subdivision for Jerry and Teddy Anderson, which that was approved. And then we had a discussion for the Plain City Springs over on North Plain City Road. What they're wanting to do is, that's on our future land use map, it's zoned for 18,500 square foot lots. They wanted to lower that down to 15,000 square foot lots. After it was explained to us why they were wanting to do that, where the power lines will run through that development, they're wanting to move that row of houses to kind of the northwest or northeast to get them away from the power lines. So they're not gonna add any more lots than what's already there. They just want 15,000 square foot lots on the northeast side of the road that they're putting in, and then increase the lot size on the southwest side. So according to our future land use map, where MDR 1 is 18,500 square foot lots, or 2.4 lots per acre, we reckon, we were okay with that. They still need to come back for, action on that, because it was just a discussion, but that's kind of what our recommendation was on that. And then we canceled the planning meeting on November 27th, and that's pretty much it.
I have a question.
Okay?
So with our senior housing, we've got 2 developments underway of senior living, and then one that you've got on your desk, right?
Yes.
So where do we say enough is enough for a minute? You know what I mean? Because it is an overlay, we can approve or deny it.
So which two are you referring to that are in?
The one up on the S-curves,
Okay,
and then we got the one over on North Plain City Road.
okay. So the one, I believe it's the Kelly Cove, the one that over off of 46, just off of 4700 and 2200. It's hard to say how that's gonna go, but the planning commission wasn't too excited about that one. So that's, kinda looks like we're trying to fit as many houses in we can with a shoehorn. So I don't think that one's, the outlook's not very great on that one. But I do know what you're saying. It's getting to the point where, why are these all coming in? Well, they're coming in because we can fit more houses in a senior overlay, regular sub. Yeah, the planning commission's aware of that, so.
All right?
Anything else? Anything you want me to take back to the planning commission?
Nope. Have you guys well, I do, yes. Have you guys discussed anything on the commercial use on the gun range stuff?
So I believe that,
Residential use?
I believe that was already,
So I think we done it for commercial, right? We
Changed.
approved it for commercial, but we couldn't approve it for the residential, and, cause that wasn't on the agenda. So we just wanna make it so it's a conditional use in the residential area as well, cause there are some residential areas that it would not affect, right?
yeah, let me follow up on that. So I'll bring that to their attention, because like I say, I know we did discuss the conditional use. I wanna say I thought it was for the residential area.
It was for one of them.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it was
I
commercial.
thought it was commercial.
It was for the, I believe it was for the residential area, because it was for the, where they was talking about putting the gun range, which is residential area on our future land use map. So I wanna say we discussed it for,
Just check on it. 'cause
But I'll
one of the
double
two got
check.
approved and the other one was left out because it wasn't on the.
okay, I'll double check on that, and then if
Yeah.
it hasn't, we'll look into it.
Okay.
So, nothing else?
All that, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, where's my, there it is. Next item is to make a motion to go into a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are now in a public hearing in regards to the annexation. So, just some quick layout on that. 3 minutes. If it's nice and calm and cool, you can have longer. If it's gonna get heated and go south, then we'll cut you off at the 3 minutes and that will end your time, so. But you'll have at least 3 minutes to sound off, and like I said, if it's nice and controlled, then we'll let you go. Okay? Floor is open.
Hi, my name's Debbie Allred.
Oh yeah, state your address as well. Name and address.
3288 West, 2600 North, Ogden, Utah. Before I begin my comments on the proposed annexation of certain islands and peninsulas that are currently unincorporated, I'd like to ask each of the council members to please listen carefully before you vote on this important matter. It's my opinion that there are some unresolved issues that need to be addressed before it can be moved forward. I hope this public hearing is not just to check the box, but to truly listen to the will of the people coming before you, and our comments will be heard and taken into consideration. We received notification that Weber County Board of County Commissions was holding a public hearing on the 30th of September. The hearing was in regards to the annexation of unincorporated islands into Plain City. Since our property is within Section 3 of the proposed annexation, my husband and I, as well as others, attended this hearing. Prior to the hearing, my husband and I met with Sean Wilkinson, who is the director of the Community Development Department, to ask questions about how the ordinances were different from Weber County and Plain City. We are currently an A1 zoning classification and was told that would remain unchanged unless we apply for a zoning change. During the meeting with Sean, he informed us that he was going to recommend the proposed annexation to the commissioners. At this point, it was our perception that Weber County had already made the decision to approve the recommendation to annex before the public hearing. It is important to note that Weber County's perspective and resolution is to get rid of the unincorporated islands. Their resolution is still only a recommendation. Plain City's perspective is to take into account Weber County's recommendations and to listen to the will of the people and make the best decision possible, which may include compromises. In my opinion, Plain City is not considering the county commission's options, but rather taking the easy way out and lumping all the unincorporated areas together. But I question, is that the smartest thing to do? Annexation is not a one-size-fits-all. If the goal of Weber County and Plain City is to clean up the unincorporated islands, It seems to be defeating the purpose when just less than a mile east of us is JDC Ranch with 1,000 homes being left unincorporated. I spoke to Lacey Richards, who is the Director of Entitlements, and she had expressed their desire to be annexed into Plain City. However, Plain City didn't want to be responsible for this type of development. The JDC Ranch is an HOA, so the private roads will be maintained by the HOA, whereas the public roads that lead into that community will need to be maintained by Weber County. I understand that Weber County and Plain City don't want overlapping services, snow plowing, maintaining the road, emergency services, etc. But now I'm just going to address 8 homes on 2600 North that would have minimal overlapping services due to the fact we are on a state road and UDOT is responsible for snow plowing and maintaining the road. Fire and EMT services as well as police have been handled by Weber County, and we have appreciated their efforts and support. According to Mayor Beasley, he stated that there is no benefit for Plain City or the 8 residents on 2600 North to be annexed into Plain City. If we want sidewalks, which is definitely a safety issue on this road, we have to go through UDOT. If annexed into Plain City would have to work with UDOT to meet their specifications since it is a state road.
Make one correction real fast.
Yep.
I said UDOT will not pay for their sidewalks. We have to do that through grants. The city has to do the sidewalk stuff. The county will never give you sidewalks.
On 2600?
2600.
Well, Plain City, if we're not annexed into Plain City, we have to work through UDOT. If we're annexed into Plain City,
UDOT won't do sidewalk.
they won't do anything, and neither's Plain City. So that's the way I see it. We've lived on 2600 North for 39 years, and we finally had the option to hook up to the sewer, but that option was only given to us because of the Diamond East subdivision that's being developed by Nielsen Homes, which is right behind us. However, the residents on the south side of the road wasn't able to take advantage of hooking up the sewer due to the fact the owner of the property is responsible for all the cost. These residents would have to incur an exorbitant cost of boring under the state road in order to connect to this utility. It is my understanding that Plain City Council may grant a sewer hookup exemption in cases of undue hardship as long as the owner's septic system is currently functioning properly. This exemption requires an application to the city, and the owner must meet specific criteria and submit an application with a required fee. The City Council can impose conditions such as a periodic review of the existing systems to ensure public health and safety. If these residents are annexed, there is no guarantee that exemption would be approved. I wouldn't want to be surprised by that bill. My next comment and concern is very important. We know that Weber County and Plain City have been working together to improve the unincorporated areas of 2200 North Street, which is located within an unincorporated island surrounded by Plain City. Weber County has already made improvements to the road and acquired property to accommodate future improvements. Prior to acquiring additional property and making final improvements, the county has asked for Plain City's cooperation to annex a portion of the unincorporated island, 2200 North. Weber County made a good faith verbal agreement that they would improve 2200 North to the basic standards, but made it clear they will not finish 2200 North until it's certain the annexation would take place. Although Weber County has made some improvements to 2200 North, the interlocal agreement between the county and Plain City is currently only a draft, which means changes can be made. This agreement will outline the specifics of what will be accomplished and who would be responsible. Once the agreement has been finalized, it will then become a binding contract. There's no funding issue and no time limit for Weber County, so our question is, why is Plain City in such a big hurry to get this annexation completed? It may be said that it needs to be done before incoming Mayor Phil Meyer takes over in January, but I'm sure Plain City has the utmost respect and confidence that he can handle whatever is presented to him. And otherwise, I mean, the mayor don't vote on the annexation anyway. So it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter if he's in or not. He's not a voter. The interlocal agreement is a long process, and it's likely that it won't be finalized by the end of the year. Again, Weber County's resolution for this annexation is just that. It does not have to be an all or nothing. As long as the changes are minimal, which they are, and I'm again referring to the 8 houses on 2600 North, the residents are requesting that Plain City just leave us unincorporated with the other 1,000 homes in Weber County. So we'll have 1,008. Since if removing the 8 homes on 2600 North would be considered minimal, we are hoping that the council would approve our request. Again, according to Mayor Beasley, no benefit for us, no benefit for Plain City, minimal overlapping services, and it just doesn't make sense to annex us at this time. Therefore, I'd like to request that the annexation portion of 2600 North be omitted from the proposed annexation, and the interlocal agreement reflect this change in the final agreement. If nothing else, this issue should be tabled until a later date for a more thorough review and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry I took too long.
Would anyone come on up?
Good evening. I'm Brett Molding. I live at 3322 West, 2200 North, Ogden, Utah. I live on the dirt road that goes east from here and has been a private road since the time I bought it. It was a private lane when I bought it. It was a dirt road. At some point in time, the county identified a portion of it that they wanted, and the change in the property line occurred. The majority of the property that are in the island that you intend to or anticipate annexing, actually the owners of that land do not want to be incorporated. I haven't talked to anyone in that portion of the property that would like to be incorporated. In fact, a new neighbor that bought property on that lane just to the south indicated that they were interested in unincorporating from Plain City and asked me about that process. I'm hoping they're here via your Zoom meeting tonight. I operate an agricultural operation down that road. I have property there in West Warren and in Slaterville. I have my cattle there through the winter. I typically have between 40 and 60 head of mama cows. We do a cow-calf operation. I move the cattle across that dirt road 8 times a year as I move them onto the pasture behind the property I have on the south side of it, and graze for 3 or 4 days, then bring them back after the irrigation turn is ended. That agricultural operation will be hindered by a paved road with people driving up and down at higher speeds. I'll need to close the road off in order for me to move my cattle across that road, because it takes a while to move that many head across the road. And they're well-behaved cows, but it'll still take some time. I'll need to close that road at least 8 times a year. I also feed on the south side of the road, I feed on the north side of the road and store hay in the barns on the south side. So I'm taking 1 to 1.5 bales of hay. What I mean by a bale, 1,500-pound bale, using my tractor across the road, opening a gate, going in, putting it in the mangers, and then after I feed them, I'll come back out of the road. I typically have manure on my tractor tires, which gets spread up the dirt road and doesn't seem to last there long, but it will create a bit of a problem. And I'm hoping that you won't incorporate, but if you do, there needs to be some accommodation that operation can continue as it is. It's a business, and I don't want to have that business changed or impeded because of this incorporation. At some point in time, I was under the impression the state legislature, the state law required that a majority of the property owners in an area agree to the incorporation. I know that there's a lot of exceptions to that, but that was my understanding. I'm hoping that the council will not, at this point in time, incorporate the area where I live and have for more than 40 years. And the argument that we wait and have this hearing at the point in time when the new council is in place, I agree with that. That was a very good idea. But I also do not want to be incorporated into the city of Plain City. I have no plans for my property except for agriculture. I enjoy living there. I've enjoyed living there for 40 years, and I hope to remain there. So I urge the council to vote not to incorporate the island. I live in number 3.
Thank you.
That was quick.
Sorry, I stopped one and started another one,
Is that a timer for me?
That was quick.
just in case.
My name's Carol Manning. I live at 3231 West, 2600 North. And I also do not want to be incorporated, even though there's a sign in my house that says, Plain City is my hometown. I've lived here all my life. My father was the first mayor of Plain City, and he had kind of the philosophy that the city is here to provide for the citizens, and that we have to do good things for our citizens. And I'm sure it's hard for me to understand how being incorporated is good for the majority of the citizens in Plain City what is the benefit from 8 homes coming into Plain City? But what is the benefit for us to be in Plain City? I don't know what that benefit is. I may have to spend, how much? $25,000. What did you pay?
For sewer?
For the sewer?
Well, we're different because
I know, but what'd you pay?
it was like $3,500 to hook up, and then I spent about $12,000.
Okay, so
Have it run back to my,
she spent $15,000 to hook up to the sewer. I don't remember what we paid for our septic tank, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't that. When we built in 1980, we had to pay to bring the power and the water to our home. And we knew that there would be people hooking on. You know, for 3 years, I think they had to pay $500 or something. We didn't recoup the money we spent. Nevertheless, I just can't understand this cleaning up issue, especially when we went to the county commissioners, and my feeling was when we left, well, because I tried to appeal to them to save us, they forsook us, and they said, we'll leave it to Plain City, which to me is different than saying, oh, we really need this cleaned up, so I'm going to vote that we are not going to continue to have you in Weber County. But they didn't. They said, we'll leave that to Plain City, whether we're incorporated or not. Now, my concern is on multiple levels. She didn't have to dig underneath the road to hook onto the sewer. We would have to dig under the road to hook onto the sewer. And I don't know if you've ever noticed our home. We live right next to the little canal. We're down in. And I know enough about the sewer that when it backs up, it comes to the low spot. So I'm not, I don't want to have sewer in my house, nor do I want to pay for that. And the other thing is, even if we don't have to hook on, is that a guarantee forever? No, it sounded like, oh, our septic tanks have to be inspected every so often to make sure we're safe. And I'm pretty sure that you pay a water, a sewer, a garbage, what else?
Sewer, water, garbage, storm.
storm drain, those are fees I don't have to pay for now. And I can't understand why I'd have to pay those fees just because I was moved into Plain City, when it's not something that I'll be using. We pay for garbage now. So I drive an old car, and it feels like the city's telling me my old car is a threat to the community, and you've got to buy a new one. I'm perfectly happy being in unincorporated Plain City. I love Plain City. But I don't really want someone telling me what to do and watching to see if everything at my house is in compliance. There's just no benefit. I understand that change is, part of life, and I can accept that. But for you to include these 8 homes when we don't want to be part of Plain City, when it doesn't benefit us and it doesn't benefit you, makes 0%. And I'm sure if you've driven up my street, and there's only three streets that come into Plain City, you've driven up my street. When you get to the S-curve, you notice those 1,008 homes, whatever it is. The subdivision right across from us, they made them pour a lane so you can get out of the road and come in. The ones on the S-curve, now that they've allowed that other road to come out on the south side, they have a little room there, but if you're coming west into Plain City and people are stopped to turn there or they stop to turn in the other, it's a mess. But I don't know why the county, I don't know why you allowed them to do that. That is a hazard. We were told at one time that road couldn't come out there. And now they've got 2 roads on the S-curve, which, I'm just thinking that government doesn't always do the best thing for the citizens. So I'd like to stay in Weber County. If you don't mind, please.
So, on your water bill, right, that's where you pay for your garbage and everything. So you'll never get charged for sewer until you're hooked up, just so you know, okay? So that won't be on your water bill. The only thing that would be added currently, other than your current water and garbage, would be the $5 a month storm drain fee. Yes. So that's, I'm just saying that's all that would be added.
I try to save 50 cents.
All right.
Who
Anybody else?
doesn't in this economy, right?
My name is John Allen at 3055 West, 2600 North. I do apologize. I'm not in a position where I've been able to do a tremendous amount of research on this topic. So if I'm speaking out of turn or speaking wrong on any account, please feel free to correct me. But I do want to echo the desire of the 8 homes on 2600 North. To either, I would urge you, I don't see the purpose of the annexation in general. It's so few homes. And I hear that it's, we want to get rid of all of these holes, these islands. But when I also hear in the same breath, except this one, it sends mixed messages. So I would urge you, listen to the citizens in those spots that you're proposing for annexation. Listen to what those citizens want in their life, in their property, where they live, and please take that into consideration. If that's not an option, that's where I would like to echo the feelings of 2600 North being exempted out of that annexation. I feel like it's a little bit different, and I apologize once again, I don't have learned knowledge of the full situation. But with that 2600 North being a state route, even if Plain City annexes that section, you're still going to be extremely limited on what you can do along that road. I have just yet to hear a compelling reason why I should look forward to the annexation, why I feel like there's a benefit for me, for my neighbors, and for Plain City in general. And so I mean, if it comes to that, I accept change is inevitable. I will gladly call myself part of Plain City, but I don't feel like it is the right thing for the residents in these areas, and I don't feel like it's the right thing for Plain City in general. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Penny Barnes, and I live on 2600 North, 3107 West, which used to be called, and still is, I think, Center Street, right? Everyone needs to know that.
Forever and ever.
Yes. Anyway, I applaud these guys for what they've said and agree with them. I really would like to still be called a Plain City-ite, even though we live in the unincorporated area. I too have lived here all my life, and I was born and raised here and raised our family here. And my dad was president of Plain City at the end of the presidents and helped to incorporate Plain City before they started having mayors. So my roots are deep here, and I love Plain City, and I really am grateful for you guys, thankful for your service. As far as all the things that were said, they've covered it, basically. I too am questioning why we have to be annexed in the first place. And because we're doing well, and have to give me, some good reasons of why we need to be annexed, other than just the city behind my house or the city across.
All your little cities.
Yeah.
Your little town behind your house.
Oh, I get it. My little city, right? Yeah.
Old city set up back there.
Yeah. So anyway, Debbie too, she just mentioned we need to ask the specifics and process of whether or not you are requiring us to hook up the sewer if we are going to be annexed. So maybe that would be another good reason of tabling it at least, so we can figure those things out, because it will be a great expense for us to, bring it under the road and to our homes when we already are doing well with our septic tanks so far. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wish to address the council? There we go.
Hello, I'm Rock Bushman. I live at 3350 West, 2600 North, right there on Center Street. I second what these guys have said. They've said all the things that are important, but I really would like to know why the hostile takeover. Why are we being forced? This is being forced on us when we're not. It's not something we really want to do. If you could lay it out in a way that shows merit for us and Plain City, I'd love to see that. And we're not hearing that today, as far as I can tell. We're just not seeing the merit for either for Plain City or for us. And I guess that's, you guys will take it into consideration at some other time, but that's not happening. We didn't vote for any of you guys. As far as I'm concerned, your jurisdiction ends at my property line. We're not part of Plain City. And to have this laid on top of us when we're really not there, I'm sure that there's probably a state law or a county code or something that allows you to hostilely take over these properties and annex us into the city. But I just encourage you not to do that. The people don't want it, and I'm really not seeing the benefit. I don't think anybody else is as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Manning. I live on 2600, 3231 West, 2600 North. I just got a couple of questions. So I've lived there 40 years, 45 years, and it seems like is it 5 years, 6 years, they try to annex us. Is your Jay Jenkins, okay, who's before him? The mayor before him?
Glenn Willie.
Okay, it's gone from Willie to Jay to you, and it seems like it's about every 5 years, 4 years, and you say the same thing. We have these islands, we need to clean them up. That's the same thing they've been saying for at least how many years? 20 years since your dad's been there. But I think the last time, Mayor Beasley, didn't Councilman Buddy Sadler say he wanted to table it because if the people didn't want it, we didn't want to force it on them? Do you recall him saying that? That's why it didn't go?
No, because we haven't tried to annex you since I've been here.
Yeah, we had a meeting, and
Yeah, it was before me.
it was
Buddy's
Buddy
been
Sadler
a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably on Jay's council. No, he was planning commission.
Yeah,
He might have been on the planning commission.
well, Buddy said, if they don't want it, let's not force it on them. So why are we trying to do it now? I mean, aren't you people for the people, trying to serve the people? So,
The citizens of Plain City.
pardon?
I mean, we're here for the citizens of Plain City, right?
Yeah, right. So,
Yeah.
if we don't want it, why force it? Thanks.
Yeah, you can. It's a public hearing.
Who?
You can have your 3 minutes. What's that?
So Josh Abelman, 4158 West Pioneer Road, Plain City, Utah. Honestly, when I look at the annexation, I look at it different from the way you all look at it because, number one, I don't reside in that area, and when it comes to annexing current households in the city, it doesn't matter to me one way or another. If they want to stay in Weber County, allow them to stay in Weber County. What I concentrate more on is the amount of open space that is involved in that annexation, where, Mr. Molding, you have a lot of property on that, and I've had conversations with you not having any intentions whatsoever of developing that property right now. But what happens when you're gone? We've seen what happened to the S-curve subdivision when we allowed our Weber County commissioners to approve whatever they wanted, even though Plain City said, no, we don't want that amount of houses. Far West said, no, we don't want that amount of houses. Weber County took it upon themselves to approve that development anyway, even though our elected officials were against it, Far West elected officials were against it, and the county commissioners did whatever they wanted. Now, annexing your home, that's not going to benefit the city whatsoever, according to what I've heard tonight. But annexing Molding's property, it's a totally different story. I'm not ready to allow our current Weber County commissioners to decide what kind of development goes in my community, especially when we're against it.
That's why I was specific when I talked about.
And that's where, so I understand the individual homes that don't want to get annexed in the city, and I care less either way. Like I said, I don't have a dog in that fight, but where I do have a dog in the fight is when I drive down Center Street and I see that S-curve subdivision and I have to sit at the old highway in 2700 for how long because of all the homes, and now they're going to quadruple the amount of people. Let's do what we can to take the power out of the county commissioners that obviously could care less what we think about, because they're going to do whatever they want no matter what, and allow our elected officials to do their job. And hopefully we can control that a little bit more.
Well, if I can just make a comment,
Just come up to the
You'll have to be at the mic. We have to have it recorded and the people in Zoom can't hear.
So with that S-turn subdivision, now it's unincorporated, like you say, because Plain City didn't want it, Far West didn't want it. how many more, if they listen to the people can't afford houses nowadays. They can't afford these $900,000 houses that are going up. So the subdivision that the JC is for homes that can accommodate new families, people that can afford it. It may not be what we like to see, but that's gonna continue. There's gonna be more and more demand for these type of houses that people can afford. And are they gonna end up all unincorporated, or is eventually a city gonna have to take over?
Without government subsidies, them developers aren't building them small houses, though. That's the only reason why they're building them small
Well,
houses. So,
exactly.
anyway, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, come on up and just.
See what I started?
Your much anticipated my death. What's going to happen after? Yeah. What's going to happen is my daughter, who lives up the road across the street there in a home there, will take over that land. And she has even less desire than I do to ever develop that land. If we did anything with it, we would donate it to an open space organization that would leave it as an open space or a park. We don't anticipate selling it. And if we sold it to a developer, they'd want to be in Plain City because they could make smaller homes on it. But I have no intention of selling it. My daughter, who is much younger than, well, not as young as you or you, but the rest of you, she's younger, and she has no intention. She's even more animate about the ponds that are on the property and the open spaces. And so I anticipate that being open space. And if you want, we'll save a spot for you when you're gone. We can bury you there.
It makes no difference to me.
But that's my intention, is that that property never be developed. And I've made that clear. People who I barely know, I have no intention of developing.
You made it clear to me that you would never develop it, and you haven't,
No.
matter what the agricultural industry does, and I appreciate that. We need
All
more
right.
people.
Wrap it up.
$4.20 a pound for 600 weight.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
At the mic.
Okay, keep it really fast. Keep it really short, if you don't mind. No, up at the mic, on the microphone. Please.
I thought I heard him saying we should be left alone, the 8 homes.
I have no decision on that. I'm just saying.
Right,
in
I
my
understand
personal
that.
opinion, I'm more worried about the open space
Yeah.
rather than the current residents.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
Okay, and speaking to the open space, we certainly have no intention of developing. I don't think she does. Not now,
Been
maybe our
developing for the
kids.
last 20 years.
But whenever we do decide, then I'm sure we will be knocking on your door and saying, can we annex into Plain City? But for right now, no benefit for you, no benefit for us. What's the point?
Okay, thank you. All right, anybody else here? I'm gonna go to Zoom land and then call it quits. Anybody? Going once, going twice? Anybody in
Zoom call
land?
Travis Murphy.
Travis Murphy.
Oh, go ahead and name and address, please, Travis.
Mr. Murphy?
Travis, did we lose you? Get from now.
Is there anybody else out there that can hear us? Is there anybody in
I am
Zoom?
on Zoom. This is Brandon Quinney. I'm on Zoom. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, well, Travis, if you can hear us, we will have public comment at the next meeting when this will be on the agenda. It's not on the agenda for the decision tonight, obviously. So if you'd like to come and be here on December, I believe it's the 4th?
6th.
6th? Yeah, December 6th, we'll have a public comment time. All right, need a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all. Next item, oh wait, I want to call Sean Wilkinson up. Sean is the one I've worked with through this entire process. And go ahead and give us the top to bottom abbreviated version and answer any questions these guys might have of our discussions and how this all got rocking and rolling.
Sure, thank you. I appreciate the time. And I understand the concerns of the residents. I've talked to many of them, and I'm not going to comment on that tonight. I'm just going to comment on how we got here. I'll talk a little bit about the law, and I will talk just a little bit about the annexation process and why these areas are included and other areas are left out, if that's all right. So just 4 or 5 years ago, when Commissioner Jenkins was one of our commissioners, we met with Mayor Beasley, and the topic of improving 2200 North came up. And there was no formal agreement ever signed, but essentially the county and the mayor agreed that the county would improve its portion, the unincorporated portion of 2200 North, to a certain extent, and that in exchange for doing that, the city would annex that property and bring it into the city to take over maintenance of that road. So those were the basic loose terms of the agreement. Again, nothing is in writing. The county moved forward in good faith and has purchased property from several owners on 2200 North. We still do have some additional property to acquire if we're going to complete all of the improvements. We've done some piping and some other basic improvements there. The improvements are not complete, but again, that's because we need to work through this annexation process and see where that goes. So with that being said, there is a draft of an interlocal agreement in process right now, and that interlocal agreement will spell out what the improvements are that the county will complete. That includes the purchase of any additional property, and then Plain City's obligation is to annex the property that's in question. So the commissioners, back in September, as was mentioned, passed a resolution that identified several portions of an island in the unincorporated area surrounded by Plain City that would be part of this overall annexation. Not all of these are right on 2200 North, and we recognize that. But from the county's perspective, it is best practice for us not to have these islands that we serve that are in the middle and surrounded by a city. And the state, the code that we're referencing outlines 4 areas that we have to go off of when we're talking about an annexation like this. Now, there was one comment that said, or that questioned, isn't there some kind of a protest that the citizens can make or something like that? In this particular type of annexation, there is not. So this is simply an agreement between the county and the city, and if both approve the annexation, then the property is annexed. But it has to meet 4 criteria. So the area to be annexed can be more efficiently served by the municipality than by the county. The area to be annexed is not likely to be naturally annexed by the municipality in the future as the result of urban development. Annexation of the area is likely to facilitate the consolidation of overlapping functions of local government, and annexation of the area is likely to result in an equitable distribution of community resources and obligations. And the county commission felt that we clearly met all 4 of those, and so they did approve that resolution and sent that recommendation for the annexation to the Plain City Council. Let me address JDC Ranch.
I'm sorry, just one quick
please.
question. Is someone's microphone still on? I'm getting feedback on Zoom.
Brandon, are you muted?
Okay.
Yes, I am muted.
Sorry.
Before we move on to JDC Ranch, what's the timing for the agreement?
To get the interlocal agreement.
So there's a draft, right? We met on Tuesday with Mayor Beasley and Brandon, and we have a draft that the county's attorney has put together. I'm going to circulate that after we review it to the city early next week. So you will be able to look at that, review it, and that will come up in a later meeting for consideration.
We'll have that for the next meeting.
So the goal is to have it before the 6th, ironed all out.
correct, that's right. JDC Ranch, so there was a lot of back and forth before any approvals were ever given. The county was approached several times. We pushed it to Plain City, we pushed it to Far West, and that happened multiple times. Far West and Plain City did not want the amount, or I'm guessing the lot sizes of the development that was being proposed by Nilsen Homes. And so that was pushed back to the county. The county commissioners, after trying, and we did truly try, there were a lot of negotiations back and forth on the number of lots, the size of lots, and at the end of the day, it was still too much for Plain City and Far West. So the county did approve development there. Originally, it was 725 units, and that was what was moving forward, and I understand people were even upset about that number. And then Nilsen Homes approached the county about the additional 275 units of moderate income housing. And that's what has been talked about when the governor came and visited. It's those additional 275 units. The rest of those units are not deed restricted. They are market rate, typical subdivision homes. There are 275 of them that do have a deed restriction. So that is JDC Ranch. If it was up to me, it would be in Plain City.
I think the general question that the council had was why the county didn't say Nilsen Homes get annexed
We did.
then work with the city on the development.
We did multiple times.
So they did, and there's a restriction that if they had submitted a plan to the county could not do this process, right? So they had already applied for their plan, for their plat map, and going through they'd already started the process.
Through the county?
Once they started their application, the forced annexation was off the table.
So they knew what they were doing.
Well, that's why they applied here and at the county the same day.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They gamed the system and.
So any other questions about JDC Ranch? I agree, it would make sense for it to be in Plain City. It's part of that island. And that's why we're saying we are incorporating part of an island in the county commission's resolution, because the other part of that island is the JDC Ranch subdivision. So a couple of other things. Debbie already mentioned that if the property is annexed, that the zoning from the county carries over, and that is true. So until or unless Plain City decides to change it, it would remain A1 with the county's standards in place. And that's just temporary until the city does something else if it chooses to do that.
Is all of day one? Is that
There are some sections that are
Can't
A2.
remember. Yeah.
Yes, but mostly A1 and A2. But then there's the Grove at JDC Ranch subdivision, which is already basically developed out and subdivided, so that's not a question there.
Is there any remaining parcels that aren't part of JDC Ranch that's not included in this annexation?
There are 3 parcels that we overlooked, yes, that should have been included in this, but were not. Because they're to the west of JDC Ranch, and I mistakenly assumed, because when Mayor Beasley said, we're not including JDC Ranch in this, that was a non-starter for this discussion. So the county said, that's okay, and we went around the boundaries of it, and I missed those 3 parcels. So I think one is owned by Rocky Mountain Power, and there are 2 other private owners. So we would come back in the future and do those 3.
Would there be any harm, since we'd have to come back in the future to annex those 3 parcels, to just incorporate this little triangle on 2600? I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, but this triangle on 2600 that the residents are very adamant about getting annexed in, would there be any harm in incorporating that little triangle with these 3 other sections that got missed?
The 8 homes, is that what you're talking about?
Those 8 homes,
So the
since
8
we have to do a whole nother process in the future for those 3 sections, could we just incorporate that triangle? I'm not getting anyone's
At
hopes up.
that time, in the future?
Yes.
That's completely up to Plain City. So the county's resolution includes those 8 homes?
I was gonna say, we would have to start this whole process.
So would we
That-
have to start
that's
this
correct.
over?
We would.
There.
There, no, we can't amend it right now. We would have to start the process over, yep, for those
Okay.
3. I apologize for that.
That's why I didn't want to get anyone's hopes up. It was just a question.
Let's see. I think those are the big items that I had to address. I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
No, public comments over, sorry.
But we have December 6th.
Oh, you speak twice. Welcome.
Oh, can I address one more thing? And it was 2600. It is a state road, and I understand that maybe where those accesses are not in the best spots. Those had to be approved by UDOT. Those are not county approvals. And I get it. County can take the flack for the subdivision, but where those accesses went, we did not have input. That is UDOT, and that's based on their standards. So I apologize, but that's out of my hands.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but when it was in our hands, when we were working with Nelson Homes, and Buddy was adamant about that outlet not being on that corner, and UDOT said, that's where it's going.
Yes.
Right? It was out of everybody's hands. but
Everyone on the council was fighting against that.
Yep.
So, anything else?
No,
Thank you.
Sit down.
Oh, well, I've got to grab one other.
Oh, okay. So Sean is also, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for your comments. And thanks, Sean, for taking some time. So our next discussion is on the transfer station and where our garbage gets hauled to. So we brought this up a little bit last week, but I do have a representative, Sean, from the county and a representative from Robinson Waste to kind of go through their contracts and so that we have a very educated decision when we make that, so.
Both contracts? I thought we
Yeah,
only have.
they're both in the
Yeah,
packet.
they're there. The one's just really
So,
short.
I don't care who wants to go first. Does, Steve, do you want to come up and kind of breeze through your contract with us?
It's only like 2 pages.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Steve Robinson, and I have with me my daughter Rochelle and Brett Snellgrove with the Ogden Transfer Station. Brett, why don't you come on for a sec? Just wanted to introduce ourselves. We'll be here to answer any questions on this thing. The information or misinformation you may hear tonight, there's 2 things that we want to clarify that just flat misinformation. One of them is with our transfer station that we cannot offer the curbside drop-off or the drop-off services that the county does. And that the fact is we can, we do now, and will offer all of those services that the county provides and more. We also have services for dropping off cardboard, residents that have large amounts of cardboard, and glass. So we actually offer more services that way than the county does. The second thing is, if we don't sign with the county, if you don't sign with the county and they close, then we'll proceed to gouge the cities on the rates. The county knows this is not true. It's so ironic and illogical for the county to insinuate this while attempting to have you sign a 20-year deal with no price, open-ended price. That just doesn't make sense to anybody to do that. So we are the ones that are offering, transparency in our rates, that you know what you can budget on year after year after year for as long as you want to extend that out. And that's kind of up to you. That'd just be a negotiated thing. So we urge you not to sign that. we feel like our rates are always going to be extremely competitive. We've got, we're a private business, private entity, and so we're pretty efficient. And also, it's a state-of-the-art facility. Brett can take you on a tour anytime any of you would like to go out there. He knows the operation and the details of that thing inside and out, and show you where we're more efficient and can always offer very competitive rates and will. It'd be foolish. I know I've been in business for 55 years or so, and just as you guys that have been in business know, it's just not smart. It's stupid to try to gouge anybody. All that does is invite competition and breed distrust. We've never operated like that in our decades and decades of providing waste services. So we're the ones that are offering a transparent, here's what you can count on to budget for, not a 20-year deal that whatever, and the history has shown that some of them increases have been very untimely, right in the middle of a budget year for you, and unannounced, not much notice, and they've been significant at times. So, it just seems like a little bit of nonsense to even put that kind of an offer out there that could be taken seriously, to enter into something like that where you have no idea what you could be paying for your disposal services down the road. So, and we feel like that gap will widen and widen and widen as time goes by, for them to try to stay in it. So do you have anything to add?
No.
Brett?
Just as a private business, we'd love to compete. We know Plain City's not huge, they're not the gorilla in the room, but there's still money to be saved, even if it's a couple bucks. It goes on to your constituents. More importantly, let the haulers decide, let them compete for it too, and let them save all your citizens money. We're just here to compete. We'd love to earn your business as well with that, but if you're ever interested in come doing a tour, we'd love to show you around, that you see for yourself.
And we've never had a beef with the county. All we're trying to do is grow our business. But there has been some misinformation put out there that we just wanted to clarify. We can't offer all of those services, and if you came on a tour, you'd see how efficient it is to get people in and out of there in a very efficient way. It's an impressive operation. We can load these trucks in about 8 minutes. We've got a very limited staff because it is kind of a state-of-the-art facility. But anyway, you're sure welcome to get a hold of Brett and come out anytime. We'd meet you out there.
Any questions? We know you love talking trash, right? Everybody loves. My wife gets so sick of it. But.
Steve, did you give any consideration to my proposal?
Of?
A mustache contest?
I might lose that. But, no, my proposal. You said you had tonnage goals, right? When we were back here having our meeting?
Uh-huh.
You have tonnage goals that you need to meet. And when you meet those, I says, do we get a discount on that? Once you meet your goals, do we get a discount?
Yeah, I have not given that any consideration.
Oh, dang it.
We're at $50 now, and that's a good deal. But we could take a look at that, Mayor.
Competition's good. I mean, Sean's a great guy. We've dealt with Sean. We've met with Sean. This is nothing against the county. We don't want the county to go away. They offer good services. In an ideal world, we both can compete, but there is an opportunity. It seems silly to sign a really long-term agreement without pricing transparency. And again, services are offered to both. Let it compete. Let the free market do what it's supposed to do. So.
I'm going to jump in.
Yeah,
You would win the mustache competition.
You'd win the mustache.
Oh.
She doesn't like the handlebar.
So-
Even the gray thing, huh?
But I haven't heard any anything about your company, so I haven't heard any trash talking, I haven't heard any misconceptions. But I'm looking at the contract and everything's blank. I'm not seeing numbers, I'm not seeing a contract length, I'm not seeing anything. So what do you have?
That's not us, so we didn't present
Okay.
the contract. The county was.
Well, I've got two contracts. I've got
I
the,
was presented with a contract.
I've got an Ogden transfer station, that's Robinson Waste.
Yeah.
I've got a contract, everything's blank for the term of the contract and the price
Yeah, it's very vague.
per ton.
I think you
Everything's
asked for a
blank.
sample.
So do we have
48 a ton.
48 a ton? For how long?
How long would the cities like? And so typically, we're flexible as a private industry. We're able to offer some different terms and things like that as a private business. I don't want to speak for the county, but they are a public entity.
I've read their contract, so I'm,
No, you know what's going on.
I'm just curious about
Well,
your
ours is-
terms of service.
There's a lot of things that
You
go
got a
into
blank
that
one? We're happy to-
negotiation.
Yeah.
It's
What you'd
just,
like.
it was just a blank one that,
So, oh, okay, what it would look like.
kind of a simple,
Is there
there's a lot of things that we could negotiate.
Is there an addendum for the cardboard and glass pickup?
That's free
and
right now to citizens.
That's
coming in.
just
They come in for that.
included?
We do a flat rate for the cars. It's set up for that. So right now, the bins are behind our gate, just because we had some issues with couches being thrown in the glass bin. Believe it or not, right? We don't
No.
want waste to go places it shouldn't. That is not why we're here. So we will change and modify our cans so that only glass bottles and things like that can be put in. We'll put that out on the curb. We're willing to work with cities if there's parks and locations at certain times. We have that flexibility to drop an extra can and then make sure it gets picked up. But the recycling that we do already, we partnered with Waste Management, so we operate a MRF. It's a dirty MRF. We do a negative sort, and then we send all of our stuff baled down to Waste Management's facility in Salt Lake. They have about a 98% capture rate right now, which is phenomenal. They have 12 to 14 optical sorters, millions and tens of millions of dollars spent on that. We don't have that set up, and so we partnered with them to make sure that the recycling can happen. I'm not sure if Plain City recycles, if they want to in the
We
future.
used to have recycle, but people were throwing things that they weren't supposed to in
Couches
there,
and
and we
glass
had
bins.
to.
So we understand that, so we
Stop.
sort and we go through that, but those are also services that we offer and that we're willing to work with the city. So these are just things that, we're not going anywhere. We built a big building. We're just here to try to earn the city's businesses and continue to move
And I
forward.
know Councilman Jenkins got to have a tour through your facility, and I'd like to
Yep.
have a chance to walk through too.
That and the safety vest.
Yeah.
This MRF, you know, it's a bona fide recycling program. And what, you know, we pull the cardboard out, we get the garbage out of it, we bale the rest of it. And like I said, the very high percentage of recycling rate. And that's what got some Weber County cities discouraged about recycling is, you know, it really wasn't happening.
I know our residents miss recycling, the ones that were doing it correctly. The ones that were throwing things that shouldn't be in the bins kind of ruined it for everyone else.
And previous owners, we purchased the facility, previous processes were needing improvements. Sometimes recycling wasn't occurring. I can tell you now it is. Anytime a can comes in, it gets recycled. If it has contamination in it, we separate that so it doesn't spread, and then we take that directly across to our transfer station. So there's a lot of synergies that work there with it, but recycling is happening full swing. And again, we're making it the most efficient connections that we can, because we would like to improve ours, but spending tens of millions right now for recycling that historically, we just can't lose all that money on recycling, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'd love to do a tour. If you would like a true contract, I apologize, sounds like you have a boilerplate.
We do have
very,
the
very vague.
blank.
Yeah, we would love to sit down and go through that, whether terms and things like that. But as Steve discussed, we have the flexibility for lengths. If it's a year, if you want a 2-year, whatever it is, we're able to negotiate, and we do that offline, so.
And you're pretty flexible on should we need to cancel.
Yep, yep. We feel, personally, I feel my motto is, if we can't earn your business, we don't deserve to have it. And that's kind of how it is. Steve's run his business. He's run his business longer than I've been alive, and he's had great customers that can attest to it. I mean, customer service, that's how you keep your customers, so. Congrats on the mustache.
One thing with the Robinson Waste contract, there will be an increase yearly of whatever the CPI is. So if that's 2.5, 2.1, 3.6, whatever that cost per household income.
Historically, CPI, we could tie to a different index. In business, usually you tie to a CPI, so you know, especially for budgeting. Your budget, I assume, is in July. Instead of getting an increase in June or November, it's hard to absorb, especially in an enterprise fund. As a business, we can't absorb those costs if they come when budgets are hard to meet as it is already. And so as a city, it's extremely hard. And so we just needed something that matches. If it goes down, sometimes the CPI is lower. Sean can attest to what his increases have been. And again, we're just here to compete is all it is. So we can discuss all those things of whatever the council would like to see in there. But we're highly competitive with our rates.
Now's your time to ask questions and discuss.
I would love to, but I'm with Rachel. There's not a lot of detail here to ask too many questions. I still don't know how you make money in recycling, but because not a lot of companies can. Sorry, it's taking some notes here, but yeah, it's hard unless I have more information to go off of. But I mean, to be fair, the counties doesn't have a lot either. It's just a contract that doesn't have a lot of details in it as far as the nitty-gritty things, so. They do have a few more details with 2 years to cancel and things like that, but.
Yeah, I apologize. I felt ill-prepared. We didn't know you wanted a true, actual
numbers.
We just sent you a blank boilerplate, so that's my fault. I apologize on that. Anything else for us? Sorry, we'll let Sean come up and
Nope.
hang tight.
They've got nothing, I'm good.
Nope.
Right.
So,
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thanks
Thank
for coming,
you.
appreciate it.
I will be contacting you for a tour, though.
Yep, we'll talk after.
Thank you.
Mr. Sean, we kind of want a good night. Just so you could tackle two.
Did you bring me here to beat me up tonight? But I think I like what Brett said better than what Steve said, so just kidding. Okay, thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. I know you have the county's proposed contract in front of you. Just a couple of things. So the county provides a service. We are a government entity. We're not a business. They're absolutely right. They came in, they told us that their goal was to take over all of the commercial waste and to get all of the cities to come there and essentially to put the county out of business. Other than if we want to keep some of the services that we're providing that don't make a lot of money, go ahead and do that because they make money. That's what the business is here to do. It's not what the county is here to do. We're an enterprise fund. We operate on the fees that we receive. We do not collect taxes to run the transfer station currently. So with that being said, we have lost a lot of commercial waste to this new transfer station. Republic Services has a contract with the county. They haul our waste from our transfer station out to the landfill. And previously they were bringing all of their commercial waste to us, but when the new transfer station opened, they formed a deal with Republic, and I think it's, from what I've heard from both sides, I've heard different things, but it's a 1-year deal with options to renew, and they're about $2.50 cheaper than what they get at the county right now. So $47.50, I think, versus $50 a ton. So Republic thought that was a great deal. The waste goes out to their landfill still, and they get the benefit of both of those. That hurt. That really hurt. The Ogden Transfer Station has also purchased Econo Waste, who hauls for Plain City. Robinson Waste is part of that now, so we don't have any of that commercial waste coming to our transfer station. I learned today that ACE they've not come to us for 3 days, so we started asking questions. They are now taking their commercial waste to this new transfer station as well. So with that being said, the question that the county commissioners are asking the cities is the service that the county provides valuable to the cities? If it is, we're asking you to extend the current contract that we have in place. Right now, Plain City last year, at the end of the year, signed a 2-year contract that renews for 2-year terms up to 12 years, and it has a 6-month out clause. So if you were to write a letter to me that said Plain City is opting out, in 6 months you could do that. And the county would then have 6 months to react. what we're asking for now is, instead of a 2-year term, a 5-year term with a 2-year out clause. And that 5-year term could renew for 3 additional terms, so a total of 20 years for that contract with a 2-year out clause. That gives us time to react. We're a government, we're not a private business. We cannot offer special deals to different cities or to different haulers. It's not the way that it works. We have to treat everybody fairly. So with that being said, I do want to talk about the transparency discussion. I think it's wrong to say that the county has not been transparent. WACOG has a subcommittee devoted directly to the transfer station. And I think, Mayor Beasley, you sat on that in the past. You may be on it right now. But the decisions that are made at the transfer station are run through that subcommittee, and they are reported back at WACOG. For it to be said that the county just willy-nilly throws around increases is blatantly false, and it's a little bit offensive. So I have a history here of all of the increases that I could show you since the time that I have been at the transfer station. Let me also, if we're talking about transparency, if you look at the website for the Ogden Transfer Station, there is not a price per ton listed. So I don't know. I've asked that question twice, and I have not gotten a clear response about what a citizen will pay when they go to that scale. So, and that may be a question you want to ask tonight, because if the transfer station closes, your citizens will be going here. And I don't know what that price is. So what we're saying is it worth it to have 2 options? If all of the cities sign this contract and we become one, essentially, it's a county-wide transfer station, almost like a special service district. Does that hold a benefit for the city? If we go out of business and we sit on the sidelines, maybe we sell, maybe we don't, maybe we hold on and just see what happens. But we are losing money, and we will continue to lose money because of the commercial waste that we've lost. We do have a fund balance. We've managed our business very well over the last few years, and we can operate for 2 years, 3 years if we need to. We don't want to eat that fund balance down to nothing. So the county commission would like to make a decision very quickly. We also have to renew our contract with Republic Services by June of 2026. So that decision has to be made very soon.
Can I ask a question real quick? And I
Please.
apologize to interrupt, or I'll forget. I'm not an expert in solid waste, but what defines trash that doesn't make money besides what I kind of already mentioned?
Yeah.
And what does make money?
It's the amount of the trash, the weight. So the commercial haulers are dumping large trucks. If you have them coming to your facility, you're making a lot more than the average citizen who's dropping a pickup load off. Go ahead.
So what you're saying is, if I take my trash from my yard in my pickup truck on a Saturday, that's where you're not making any money, but the rest of it they are, whoever's doing it.
Correct, yeah. There is far less money to be made doing that.
And that's why the transparency for the dumping fees for the Saturday dumps is important. And I was actually going to ask that question.
I'm a Weber County resident, and if we close and I go there, I want to know how much I'm paying.
Yep.
You bet.
Okay.
So
I didn't know it was that simple. I thought it'd be more complicated. So
you're welcome to come tour our transfer station as well, see what we do. We do offer a lot of services. We offer, regular garbage dump, construction and demolition material, household hazardous waste, green waste of all sizes. We grind up the wood chips. We repurpose them and sell them. We create mulch out at Central Weaver sewer plant that we sell, compost, colored wood chips, all of that. We take large boats and campers and things like that. We are a full service operation. We've put a lot of investment into that transfer station over the last few years to make it function much better, much more efficiently. And we'd love to see it continue operating in the future, but that really does depend on what we can control. And if the cities are in business with us, we know what we have. We can't control the commercial waste. If another business offers a lower price, if I was whoever, I'd probably take that too, because that doesn't affect my citizens, it affects my pocketbook. but I think there's more to consider than just the price. So, Plain City had about 4,600 tons that were dropped at the transfer station in 2024. So at $2 a ton, you're looking at, $9,600, whatever that is, or yeah, close to $10,000. That's something. But like Mayor Beasley said, the offer was CPI increase every year. I was pleased to know that when Steve said $50, that's where the county's at right now, is $50. So that's great that we are competitive in that market. We'll see what happens there, but what I will say, with a private business, they are in business to make money. The county is not. The county is in business to cover its operations and provide a service. And your city has a seat at the table. And if that's valuable, then that's something to consider as you decide where your waste goes. So that's all I have. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I think my issue is the being locked in for 2 years.
Yeah, and
Very bitter pill to swallow, and it doesn't seem fair to the residents.
I had a discussion with Commissioner Farrar yesterday because North Ogden and North Ogden and Pleasant View had the exact same question. And there is discussion about making that 1 year. 6 months is kind of hard to adjust in the middle of a budget year, right? If we have 1 year, that seems more reasonable, and I think that we'd be open to that. So that's something I'm discussing with commissioners next week, and we will likely present at the next WACOG meeting.
So I did receive an email today from 2 cities that have decided to stick with the county. And then I think there was one more that you had.
So we have received a contract already from Marriott Slaterville. Washington Terrace has signed theirs, but I think those are the only 2.
There have been many years we have not had an increase.
Would you like me to address that?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I can tell you, when I was put into this position back in 2015, the transfer station was not in good financial shape. I worked with our comptroller. We quickly did a study to determine what the price should be, what services we should be providing, and we quickly turned that around. And that's why we have a fund balance right now that can sustain us for a period of time as we move forward. We've been able to purchase new equipment. We've been able to invest in our facility because we have been charging an increased price, but the correct price. And we have had to make price increases over the years, but very few of those have been to cover the county's direct costs. Let me tell you, in 2022, we had a 9% increase, and that was due to a fuel surcharge from Republic Services as we came out of the pandemic and gas was expensive. And then in 2023, we had a 13.2% increase. That is from MBI, who is Republic's hauler. And that's who's hauling for the Ogden transfer station right now as well, out to Republic's landfill.
Trailer
Yeah.
semis cruising down the road at 42 miles an hour on the freeway.
Yeah, and that was actually a bigger increase. Republic ate a little bit of that, passed on 13.2% to the county. And we did not pass all of that on to the cities, but we had to pass a large part of that on. We had to increase our prices due to that increase. Otherwise, the price increases have been very minimal. I would say certainly below the CPI. So that's what I have to present.
Does the county have the ability to do cardboard or glass at all?
So we do not offer recycling services. We do pull metal and cardboard. Right now, we're not pulling cardboard because it's not worth much. And metal has gone down as well, but we do pull some of those things, and then we recycle them, and that money goes back into our fund. But we do not offer a recycling service to the citizens. Everything that comes to us will be transferred to the landfill.
So we offer that.
Do you think we could put up our own bins so that the residents could drop it in and then we could dump it at our landfill? as a service, the glass and cardboard. I know we could,
We have the bins down there.
Yeah, they're
I
there
know,
already.
but like they said, Republic said that they'd be able to put them possibly at the parks so that our residents could easily put them there and then haul it away. It's hard for my family to drive out to the landfill to dump
I
them.
agree, but I don't know if the park's the best place to turn it into
I know,
trash.
but you know, somewhere,
Yeah, you heard him say
somewhere,
couches and,
Yeah.
that's a good place to put it.
The reason it's down there is
Maybe at
because it is
Kent's.
supervised, right?
Maybe at Kent's or an area like that with lots of
It's still nice to
supervision.
have it supervised, you know, when it is discarded, so we're not ending up with couches and.
But not everyone's able to make that trip out to the landfill to dump, so that would be a great service.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
that's separate from this conversation though.
It is, but it could be a tipping balance between one over the other.
So, any other comments, questions for Sean?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you
you.
so much, Sean. All right, I've lost my agenda again. There it is. All right, as we know, that was just a discussion as well, so, we will push that to another meeting for a final decision. So thank you both for coming and presenting your sides. All right, next one is an ordinance, approval of residential overlay with public
Sorry, I feel like I'm
amenities for the
staring at your
Winegar
stuff.
and Western Basin. I don't know that I've ever seen the Western Basin on this. Come on up.
Are you having public comment first?
What's that?
Nope. Nope.
Oh, we already had that.
Not on the agenda. Good evening. I guess I don't know if we're looking for questions or comments or concerns.
So, let me get to it.
Like, are you gonna talk about the, or do you want me to? Oh,
Go ahead,
Are you ready? You got all
I
the
have
info
stuff.
you need?
I don't have all the parcel numbers, but I do have a concern. So the only parcels that were rezoned, to, at least from what I'm seeing, are the Weininger parcels. And I noticed that a parcel that's, I don't remember the name, you just said it, Western Land, right?
Western Land and Limestone.
What?
Or West-
Is also included in this, which I think from the motion, it was excluded from the overlay, but how do we incorporate that into a development when it's still ag? It was never rezoned. I don't know why and how that happened.
So I don't know why it was definitely on the application because it was actually,
Which application,
the
the rezone?
the rezone application is what happened is after we sent our first application, we were able to come to a deal with the Marriotts, and we actually came back in and restuffed all the envelopes, including that parcel, and made sure that that map was the same and that it was a brand new application that included their APN number, and the map also included their parcel on it, and I actually put all the envelopes because I felt bad that the staff had already done it for us and I didn't want them to have to restuff a couple hundred envelopes for us. So it was on there. Or at least the one that went out to the public and the one that finally should have made it on the agenda.
But when we rezoned that, it was just the Weininger parcel. That's the only information I had at that time.
Dan, will you pull the gizmo up on the big screen, please? Dan, will you pull the Weber gizmo up on there? Maybe not? Can you minimize that? Oh, she's got it.
He's got the control. Maybe minimize.
So is there a description on, well, on that Weaver Bay, or, the Marriott's property there, that included in this? Are we doing the whole parcel?
No, and that was why the planning,
Parcel's not rezoned.
oh, 100% agree, and that was why the planning commission added that last sentence in. They wanted to absolutely clarify that it was only the one row of houses and that the northern portion of the Marriott's was not included in any of this, because they didn't want there to be any confusion that, oh, there's an overlay that's included on that property. It was specifically discussed and, yeah.
One row of houses on the south property line of that parcel number, which is Western Land's parcel number. So that was part of our motion on our recommended approval.
So Diane, do we know if that was included in the rezone?
It was not. I double checked it, and the application that I got when we rezoned that to 18.5 was only the Weiniger piece. Whether somebody missed that and didn't get it to me, that's the only one that we have actually rezoned. We have not on Marriott's piece.
And it would have been the whole parcel, right, if it would have been?
Yeah, because we can't rezone half of a piece of parcel,
Right.
half of a piece of property.
That's,
So I don't know. It was, I can't say exactly what parcels were on what got in front of you, but it was definitely on the application, and it was definitely what was sent out to the community. And because we drew the line on the maps ourselves and had to put in the application because that number was wrong. You guys might recall that there was a couple number, we had a 0 or something in there that was incorrect. I think Miss Bill caught that original time.
So I think council, at minimum, we have something that we gotta get figured out.
Yep.
And straightened up prior to approval of the application.
It's also, according to Diane's note, it says that some of the serial numbers on the application are incomplete, according to the email that Diane sent with the packet.
Originally, or this one?
Just
This one.
this one. According to the email that she sent with this packet, it said some of the serial numbers, land serial numbers on the application are incomplete. She didn't say which ones, but that some were incomplete.
I can,
Well, you've got the application, you can see that.
can we look at also the original rezone application in your
So we do
Packet.
not have the rezone application in front of us.
mm-mm.
We have the zoning overlay application.
Are your packets uploaded
that?
Are your old packets uploaded onto your website or just your agendas?
Not the packet,
Just
Not
the
the packet.
agendas.
just the agenda and
You have the overlay application
yeah.
in front of you.
Right, but we don't have the rezone, right?
Was it on the overlay application that it was incorrect? Or the rezone?
On the overlay application, they're incorrect. The second and third numbers are
Oh, here it
and
is.
fourth.
Okay,
mean, we
yes,
know
it is
what you
here.
meant.
Sorry, I thought I saw it when I looked at it yesterday, so page 32, oh, I don't know how you guys are looking at it.
Here, I've got this.
So keep going. That's just the overlay.
Yeah, that was the overlay application that she said that was wrong.
Right, so it has the Marriott, but then if you go to the actual, if this is, I don't know how many there were, where are we at?
I don't think any of us have a problem with the
32 isn't telling
overlay.
you the page
It's just
numbers.
that we gotta make sure.
I understand your concern.
I don't
Right
want you
there.
to think we're,
No, that's not what I'm taking from it. And I'm just gonna repeat what happened, so maybe it'll clarify. We sent in an application for the rezone,
See what I'm saying?
and after the application was
So too.
submitted and
Oh,
paid
it
for,
hasn't.
whatever, and after staff had
It's this number.
labeled and stamped the envelopes, right?
The western land.
Then we came to our agreement with Marriott's. And so I resubmitted an application and also came in myself with Mr. Hogan, and we redid all the envelopes and put in the new application that had the Marriott's APN, and we actually drew a line on the south half of Marriott's with a pen.
So correct me if
So
I'm
that,
wrong.
so that it was clear that the south end was only that. I don't know what was in your packet, but I know that before the meeting, we corrected the application and we sent the correct thing out to the public.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Diane, you're saying we cannot rezone a parcel.
Right.
This parcel would have to go through either a minor subdivision to split that or something to that effect, right?
That's my thinking, but I'm not legal either.
I honestly don't know the legality on that either, as many times I do it. I've seen parcels with split zoning all the time.
Brandon, are you with us still?
I am here, and I'm ready to address that concern.
Well, full send, bud.
It's fun to be the legal beagle in the room. So as far as zoning a property, not just for tax purposes, but for state border actions, when we send this to the state with a rezone, you need to have property lines that the rezone aligns with. That's how you create the property descriptions, the description of the area that describes the zone. And so where this would be a rezone of a partial rezone of a property, that line going through the property won't have a boundary unless you were to subdivide the property. And so I think we would run into issues not only at the county level with recording it, but at the state level, having them issue or having them approve it as well, the notice of boundary action. So I just to ensure that we don't run into those issues on those upper levels, we want to make sure that we have a subdivision in place and that we have rezoned parcels and not whole parcels and not a portion of a parcel.
Okay, is it, and I understand the cities and your concern, is it possible to create that parcel with the subdivision since it was going to be in the first phase, or do we have to create that parcel now? Because technically we'd be creating however 10 parcels along there, that'd all be lots.
Yeah, this would be a subdivision of property. It would have to follow the process of subdividing a property, where, especially as well, where this ordinance, being the ordinance that was passed, even if that wasn't part of your application, the ordinance does not address that Weineger parcel or even a portion of it. We would have to run through the process of rezoning that subdivided piece of property as well, the legislative process. So you've got two actions that we need to be taken care of before this overlay can take effect in that southern portion of the Weineger property.
The Marriott property.
Yes, my apologies, the Marriott property.
Okay, so in this particular case, so it sounds like we're not going to be able to get approval tonight because we have to go back and create a parcel. And then once we've done that on our end, we have to come back to the city to get them to rezone that parcel. We'll figure out what the issue was with the application. And then I guess the third step would be to come back in and get the overlay approved. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, and I also know that to help with timelines. Obviously, your timeline as a developer might be different than the city's timeline, but to kind of help move things along, you can have those happening almost at the same time. Because when you submit for a subdivision, you can also submit for a rezone of that proposed subdivision. We can kind of hold those hearings one after another so that so the official actions of approving the subdivision and then rezoning it can happen within a short period of time of each other. So it doesn't necessarily have to be one has to be done and then you can do the other, but we can kind of have things moving along simultaneously.
Okay, understood. And we can't subdivide just by legal description. We have to get approval for that strip.
Yes, all subdivisions for the city. In fact, being fairly new to the city, I would have to review the city code to be sure. But it's my understanding of city code that all subdivisions have to run through a subdivision application.
Okay. And we'll look at, maybe we can do a lot line adjustment or something, but I think I understand where we sit, but, okay, so we'll proceed with that, but should we address any other questions or concerns while we're here?
The only other concern I have is addressing 2200 as it relates to the east end going up to the State Road 4350. Is there plans to improve that? Because there needs to be. That road's only, I don't know, I'm guessing 20 feet wide probably, as it ties into this new road that you're proposing.
Our plans would align with what the city essentially is going to require as part of our improvement drawings. That wouldn't technically be part of the subdivision process, and we're not buying property for it, but it's not uncommon for cities to say, hey, this road's not wide enough, or it's got potholes, or we need it ground or something.
We did that out at Sage Creek, out north.
Okay, I just didn't want it to be a surprise.
Road, but they're having to widen that road because it was not wide enough and.
Or not thick enough asphalt. We understand that we also have to, I think, bring the secondary from that down on that corner too. Is that not correct?
I'm not sure where the secondary is at.
I think the secondary, and I don't know all your streets very well, I'm sorry, but the main street that goes east-west there, I think the secondary is all the way down there, so we would probably be taking up that road anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, that road needs to be improved, but to his point, it's not part of the subdivision.
Right.
So it's hard to, yeah. No other comments.
So, I think our motion, if I'm not mistaken, would be to table this. We don't want to deny this.
Yeah.
I think tabling it
Yeah.
would be the correct motion.
Is it tabling if they have to kind of do a completely new
So,
rezone?
I would table it this meeting, let Brandon dig in some more and get his answers. Because I know that if we deny it, they start from ground zero.
Okay.
So if we table it, that gives Brandon a little bit more time to dig in and give us a clear path forward. And then if we have to deny it, we can do that next meeting and they could have already started their new process. So we'll get you an answer as soon as possible.
On the path as far as the application process, because I understand our path is we have to subdivide the parcel. We'll put in a subdivision application for that. It's gonna be pretty simple. It's just
That's what I'm saying. You guys.
it's just a legal description.
Whether this gets.
Yeah.
Because the council would be voting on this application, not the new one.
100%. It sounds like basically is what we're gonna do is once we get our once we get our property, once we get the application for a subdivision in for the south half of Marriott's, we will put that on the agenda first, and then possibly in the same meeting, we'll have just the second action would be to approve the zoning on that parcel, and then the third action could possibly be this overlay, all in the same meeting. So we'll do that. I guess the only direction I was actually asking for was, I'm not sure where that parcel was on that application, if we're re-noticing or what happened there. That's really, if we can dig in to see what happened with that, that's all we really need. I think I know our steps. I'm just not sure what the city will need from us as far as reapplying. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I will move to table the ordinance for the approval of residential overlay with public amenities for Weiniger Trust and Western Basin Land.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have any.
Yeah, next.
I've been checking papers. Business licenses, do we have any?
I don't see any.
Oh, we do have one. Let's see. Everbloom Studios. The rental studio for small events. Oh, that's the one that Josh described.
Oh, yeah.
Right there in the old Royleys building.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
And it's,
that'd be a good little business to have. They just rent studio for small events and photography and stuff like that.
And they were talking about needing the inspection for, like,
yeah.
maximum amount of people, so that they
Just
didn't.
fire marshal.
Yeah, fire marshal.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, we get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the business license.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Let's pay the bills. There it is. Found it, jackpot.
This Wasatch Civil Engineering, 26,000 plus, what is that for? Dan or Joan?
I guarantee that's gonna be for 3,600.
Okay.
Well, it encompasses a lot of stuff, but part of it is North Plain City Road and 3600
Oh, yeah,
West.
Plain City Road moving as well.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So, yeah. Which, a lot of that will be reimbursed
Okay.
through the county.
Okay.
County or WFRC.
As long as we get money back.
Well, if there's no other statements, I'll move to approve the warrant register for the dates of November 1st, 2025 to November 19th, 2025.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
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 Great, thank you. Council reports.
I don't have anything to report.
Colette has been working on the Utah 250 application. I think she needs something from Diane, but I'm not sure what exactly. It's a W something form. But we have to pass the resolution on December 6th or we're gonna miss out on the money. So just be prepared. We have to have that resolution passed on the 6th.
He just gave it to me today, so
Awesome.
we'll have it on, and it's December 4th.
Is it December
We're
4th?
meeting on a Saturday.
But why are we, oh, that's the parade. All right, there is a parade on December 6th. That's why I've had that date in my mind. Don't miss it.
I thought I was right, but I'm wrong so often.
So
that I-
December 4th.
You never know.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Councilman Jenkins?
Nothing to report.
Nothing exciting at the mosquito board or nothing?
Not lately.
Hopefully they're all dead.
Winter time, or we're getting there.
I don't know, I still have them in my shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, die mosquitoes die. I don't have anything other than we do have the Christmas party here at Lee Olson on December 6th. Come out and have some fun, see some reindeer, go on a wagon ride, check out the lights. The crew worked really hard to get all these lights up and they do a great job. So come on out and enjoy that. And we just need one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Meeting adjourned.
These little jewels.
Somebody was
Be sad.